It's a great time to buy or sell a home, and today we're going to go over some of the common misconceptions when buying or selling. Joining us in studio is Julie Hackworth with ERA Reardon Realty. Julie, thanks for being back.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to come back in your studio and speak with you.
Yes. Remind our viewers, if they haven't met you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm Julie Hackworth. I work at ERA Reardon Realty. I am concluding my 10th year at the end of the year, so exciting milestone that I'm hitting. I am a board member. I am president-elect for the Jackson Area Association of Realtors, so completely honored to be involved in our board and helping other realtors through the process.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 years in the industry. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And all the work that you've done serving on the Board of Realtors definitely just makes you more of an expert in real estate.
Makes you more well-rounded, and it makes you have a pulse on the market as well as what are pain points for our realtors and how to eliminate that for them.
Yeah, definitely. So you're the perfect expert for today's topic, which I want to make sure I tell the viewers, this is a topic that you brought to us. I think it's a great idea. There really are a lot of common misconceptions when buying or selling a home, and it's important to know the truth.
Absolutely. There's a lot of different scutter around, as far as what is truth and, misconception in the real estate world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start with kind of a real basic one, which is you need 20% down to buy a home.
That is false. Today, you definitely do not need 20% down. We have multiple loan types, such as FHA, which is as low as 3.5% down. Conventional is 3 to 5% down, and we do have some incredible loan programs such as VA and rural development that's 0% down. So you definitely do not need a 20% down. Now, most buyers want to so they can avoid PMI, but it's definitely not a requirement, and it's more affordable PMI than you think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important just to know that you don't need 20% down. That is a myth. And there are a lot of great grant programs out there as well. So if someone's working with a reputable mortgage lender, they'll get all that information.
Yes. Yeah, the state offers down payment assistance, and that is huge for first-time home buyers.
So Julie, Zillow is a home finding website that a lot of folks are using. They've got a Zestimate on there that shows some home value. Is that accurate?
My favorite question. It's very loaded, and the question is 9 times out of 10 it is wrong. So the Zestimate is basically what they do is it's auto-generated, and it takes a radius and it calculates what property value is sold, and they equate it to your home. Well, what the auto-generated Zestimate does is takes stick-built, manufactured homes, lake properties, lake access. It doesn't matter what's in this little radius, and calculates what your home is. So it could be high or it could be low. So a lot of times that I see it's not accurate, and it can be tens of thousands of dollars off. So I know a lot of sellers think it's the holy grail, but it really isn't. And what an appraiser and as well as a real estate agent will do, we look at that nitty-gritty details. We look at, similar make homes. So if you're selling a ranch, we're gonna look at a ranch home. We're gonna look at a ranch home that is, similar square footage. Does it have any updates? Well, Zillow can't distinguish if your kitchen is remodeled or your bathroom. So we make sure that we give you that extra, credit to your home to make that value even higher for you. So it's definitely not accurate, and I wish sellers stop using it.
Right, definitely. They need to speak with the experts because you do a much deeper dive than that with your comparative market analysis. Like you said, you really do a much bigger comparison than that Zestimate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Julie, talk to us about for sale by owner. If someone wants to sell their home without using a realtor, is that going to save them a ton of money?
Most cases, they're leaving money on the table. With a realtor, yes, they might save costs on that, but they might be losing in other areas. For example, if they're using the Zestimate on Zillow, they might be pricing their home tens of thousands of dollars less than what they should. The other part about it is that when they list with a real estate agent, it goes into the MLS and feeds out to all the real estate sites. So when it does that, you're seeing all the pool of buyers you're seeing all the showings at once, all the offers come in once, and then you're getting multiple offer situation because they have more exposure at one time. Versus with a for sale by owner, they don't have that marketing tool to get and reach out to all the other buyers. And so they'll see that their home sits on the market and potentially even taking less because they're not getting any offers.
Right, yeah, that's definitely not going to save them any money. And it's taking out that expertise of a realtor, especially when they do get an offer for that negotiation.
Yes.
I really loved the example that you gave me off camera. You toured a for sale by owner home yesterday with a buyer of yours.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So as we were touring the home, the seller mentioned to me that it was a buyer's market, and I was dumbfounded because we definitely don't see the same in the market. We have lack of inventory. Homes are moving fairly quickly as long as they're priced accurately. So I was really surprised to hear that from a seller for sale by owner perspective.
Right.
The other part about, selling for sale by owner, they don't have all the legal representation as far as the paperwork documented properly, and that can cause a lot of lawsuits down the road. So making sure that they have all of those documents filled out to help protect them, that's what our job is for.
Right.
The other part about it is if, let's say they do receive an offer, do they understand that contract? That's a lot of information that they're reviewing, and this is the largest asset of their life they're probably selling. And to be able to articulate all those details is probably not likely. And so why take a chance? For example, tax proration is on the purchase agreement. Do they understand that? There's a tax proration that benefits the seller and the tax proration benefits the buyer. Which one are they asking for? So having a realtor will really help shine the light on that. And let's say you got an accepted offer and you have home inspection. Well, as a realtor, we'll help negotiate, eliminate any obstacles that we have. We have a pool of resources to help our sellers to make peace of mind and stress-free.
Okay, so the next question would be, when listing your home, should you price it higher so that you've got some wiggle room?
No, you should definitely not, because if you price it high, you potentially it's going to stay on the market longer because buyers are pretty savvy. They understand the market because they have their agent with them and touring the house. And I have a lot of buyers that ask me as we are touring, do you think the home is priced high? And I will give them my honest opinion because I represent them. And so pricing it high can, make the listing look like if something's wrong with it. So the reason why homes don't sell is price, condition, or location, and a lot of times it's the price. And so if a home is sitting on the market for a certain amount of days, buyers ask me all the time, what's wrong with it? Why hasn't it sold? So it's really important that you price it appropriately because most buyers are afraid to try to negotiate because it just went on the market.
Julie, I think a lot of people think that it's important to remodel their home before they list it for sale. Is that true?
Well, some remodel can go a long ways, but I have to say, maybe it's just the finishing touches to make it look more clean and shiny, to make it more attractive for the buyers to come in. So a lot of times just simple paint and new flooring can really spruce up a house and create a lot of value and buyer appeal of that home. A lot of times when I tour a house, I walk through and kind of do like a scan to see if there's anything that's gleaming that they should update or change. Having it clean, staged, ready for the buyers is key. And I would say the cleanliness is number one than anything. Having, when the buyers come up, the curb appeal, the grass is mowed, the bushes are trimmed, maybe some flower pots to create that warm and inviting atmosphere. But yes, the best return on investment is, updating your kitchen and baths, but is it necessary? Probably not. Just depends on, what you're listing it for and what are the other homes in the area are listing it for, because you don't want to do a kitchen remodel that's $50,000 or more when, that doesn't support the market that's in the area.
Julie, this next one is one I've heard many times from people selling their home. Spring is the best time to buy or sell a home.
If you can hit spring market and into the summer, please do. It is the busiest time of the year, but homes sell year round. So no matter if you're selling it, in the fall, winter, homes are still selling. Now, if it's in the off season, you have less competition as a buyer and seller. There's less homes on the market, less buyers that are trying to buy a house. So it creates more of serious negotiations, and sometimes it's a little bit more relaxing for sellers to be able to do that.
Okay, Julie, so for our last question, it's really an important one. The market will crash like it did in 2008. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, my buyers have been telling me that for the past 7 years, and it hasn't happened. Let me tell you what kind of came to light in 2008. You know, the lending back then was a lot looser, there was a lot more fraud, and the inventory had abundance amount of homes for sale. Today's world, lending has tightened. I mean, you can ask my buyers, they are giving all kinds of documentation and they feel like they've been through the ringer trying to complete this process, but it's all important. And it's, you know, I always tell my buyers, like, it's a good thing, you know, just bear with the process with it. But things have changed. Even today's world, we don't have that excess inventory. We're still pretty low. So to say that we're going to have this correction, we may have a correction, but to the extent of what we had in 2008, I don't foresee it happening. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball and I can't say 100%, but we just don't have the inventory to see that same type of buyer's market that we have today.
Yeah, and I think all realtors and mortgage loan officers would agree with you. Things are very different now, so we should not expect something that similar.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, they always say, you know, when prices rise, we're set for a correction or a crash, and, you know, maybe we'll get a correction, but not to the extent of what we saw back then.
Right.
At least right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all need a roof over our heads. So regardless of what's going on in the world, being a homeowner, there's nothing better than that.
Absolutely.
So, this is great information for the viewers, Julie. Tell them how they can reach you if they'd like to get in touch.
Absolutely. So Julie Hackworth, my telephone number is 517-206-6426. I'm happy to help buyers or sellers.
Yeah, thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home in 2025, give Julie Hackworth a call.